Handwriting analysts can look it over and make recommendations. This is especially true when they're assessing applicants for jobs such as financial controllers, auditors, managing directors, and even tellers and cashiers. According to graphologists, neatly written, fully formed letters without gaps indicate that the writer is deliberate and meticulous. If you wish to improve or change your handwriting, make an effort to start learning how to shape words. Handwriting books such as Nelson's Handwriting are available. Adequate practice will ensure you write with a trained hand within as short as 3 months. To help your child develop excellent handwriting, start on this training as soon as they master the alphabet. A 10-minute daily session often yields good results. A good quality pen speaks volumes about you. If you're on the move, giving one-on-one presentations, whipping out a well-designed fountain pen or roller ball will help your cause. The worst pens to use when you're trying to make a good impression are cracked ballpoint pens. Throw these away. Fountain pens are the most impressive of all. Select black ink for business. If you wish to be more creative, it is possible to find all shades of ink. You may even decide to have a signature color like turquoise. There are several varieties to fit every budget. Once your handwriting skills have improved and you've acquired a quality pen, your stationery should do you justice. A personalized notepad printed with your name and organization is essential for anyone in a career or business. Use this for all your correspondence. For longer business letters, select any good quality plain writing paper. Under no circumstances should you send out public correspondence written on foolscaps or on photocopy paper. Here's a tip. When applying for a job, do not type out your cover letter. Handwrite it in a trained hand on thick ivory white paper. Use a fountain pen with black ink and sign it elaborately. Chances are they will call you for an interview. This has been Self-Care Tips. I am Irene Joroge, signing out.
Tusirudi nyuma kwa mipaka na nchi kufungwa. Tusirudi kwa biashara na shule kufungwa. Kwa kutoweza kukutana. Kwa kutengana na tuwapendao. Tusirudi nyuma.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Ili tuendelee na maisha vizuri.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge,
pata chanjo.
Na kuhitaji unikinge, pata chanjo.
Ili tuendeleze maisha bora kwa ajili ya wapendao, nchi yetu na usoni wetu. Kwa ajili yetu sisi sote. Pata chanjo. Kaa chonjo. Kuhakikisha nchi yetu na uchumi wetu umestawi katika uwazi. Tusirudi nyuma.
The process proudly brought to you by Buchan Furnitures Limited. Local manufacturers of quality office furniture and dealers in quality office equipment like fireproof safes and cabinets. For orders, visit our showroom at Uniafric House, Koinange Lane off Koinange Street.
Jastrzemski, and there was Jovetic to score. Oh, Kevin Behrens. Belfodil, and he is there. Elney's chance taken. There's Richter. Kevin Behrens again. Hertha are through. Union Berlin do have a place in this season's last 16.
It's Wednesday, the 19th day of January, the year 2022. Welcome to the broadcast. Prime Edition begins right now. We'll be telling you what happened on the second day of the hearing of the BBI appeal case right here in our comprehensive news bulletin. But first, let's get the top stories.
If it were that it was allowed for every Tom, Dick and Harry to file suits against the president, it would distract him from performing the more important duties for running the state.
The president has absolute immunity. President Uhuru Kenyatta's lawyers argue as BBI appeal hearing enters day 2. The taste of freedom. Businessman come politician freed after a night in police cells.
That you cannot do a business with government if you do not have not only the KRA tax compliance certificate or the NHIF clearance card.
Mandatory contributions. Those over 18 years to pay to the NHIF kitty under the new law. All right, and we begin straight away. My name is Serfine Achieng, and our sign language interpreter tonight is Byron Apuli. Our top story tonight, civil cases cannot be instituted against the president since he has absolute immunity. According to the legal team representing President Uhuru Kenyatta in the ongoing BBI bill appeal at the Supreme Court of Kenya, instituting civil proceedings against the president or anyone holding the office of the president will distract him or her from performing their duties, as well as interfere with the security of the nation and dignity of the presidency. Serfine Robi begins our bulletin.
The second day of the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2021 BBI hearing at the Supreme Court kicked off in earnest before a 7-judge bench led by the Chief Justice Martha Koome. President Uhuru Kenyatta, through his lawyers, led by Waweru Gatonya, will kick off the Wednesday session, disputing a decision of the Court of Appeal and High Court that he can be sued on civil matters.
If it were that it was allowed for every Tom, Dick and Harry to file suits against the president, it would distract him from performing the more important duties for running the state. The President of the Republic of Kenya, or the person performing the functions of that office, enjoys absolute immunity from civil proceedings during his term of office in respect of anything done or omitted to be done in the exercise of the powers under the Constitution.
Court of Appeal has said is that while even companies have the right to enjoy this right, the president does not have. Why? Because he vied and was elected. With respect, that is stripping of his rights. With respect, that conclusion is wrong.
The council argues if civil cases are instituted against the president, it will interfere with the preservation of the national security and dignity of the office of the president.
One would wish that it will never come to a point where a court would order the president to make a disclosure. Why did you do this? What are the reasons that made you make this decision?
Activist Isaac Alocher, whose appeal roped in the president in the consolidated cases, agreed that the president can initiate a popular initiative, but he should not use state machinery on the same.
As an individual, can't initiate any amendment to the Constitution, no problem. But just don't exercise state authority in the process of so doing. Don't use public funds in so doing. Don't use public facilities in so doing.
On whether the basic structure doctrine applies, different parties will give their opinions, with some seeking for the Supreme Court to clarify.
It is my answer that the basic structure can only be altered through the primary constituent power.
Third appellant Murara Omoke emphasized on the need for separate and distinct referendum questions.
The electoral system should be able to enable simple voting, efficient voting, voting that is seen as transparent and accountable.
I've already given their submissions, including the respondents supporting the first two appellants, who are the Attorney General and the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. And now we await to see the other respondent, as well as responses to the submissions that have already been made. And then later on, the 7-judge bench will retire to go write the judgment. Serfine Roby for Prime Edition.
All right, thank you, Serafina, for that report. Now, staying with the court matters, businessman come politician Jimmy Wanjigi has been released by the court until the hearing and determination of the case he had filed against the DCI is heard in February. Wanjigi is facing 6 counts, including conspiracy to commit a felony, forgery of a title deed for a piece of land in Westlands, and uttering a false document.
Milimani Law Courts Wednesday morning. Businessman and presidential aspirant Jimmy Wanjigi was brought in to answer to 6 counts of fraud regarding a piece of land in Westlands, Nairobi, after his dramatic arrest on Tuesday.
I'm smiling, I'm not.
Unknown to the magistrate court where he was scheduled to take plea, an order barring DCI from arresting him and his wife had already been issued at the High Court.
We note that, say, for the 7th accused, whom the IO indicates they confronted yesterday with the purpose of arresting and availing him in court, all the other accused persons may not be aware that they were required to appear in court today.
Senior Principal Magistrate Bernard Ochoi deferring the plea taking until Wanjigi's case is heard and determined on 9th of February. He stated that the prosecution had confirmed that indeed Wanjigi had obtained an order stopping his arrest and prosecution.
They were not bonded to appear in court at any particular time. I will therefore not issue warrants of arrest for the said accused persons, but I will issue summons for them to appear in court.
Ochoi further directed that Wanjigi co-accused, except for his wife Nzisa, should appear for the mention of the case in January 24th, 2022. After his release, Wanjigi blamed his woes on ODM leader Raila Odinga, claiming his political stand had rattled feathers within the party.
Azimio la umoja ni azimio la nini? Usaliti. Let's start there. I am proposing to continue the ideals of ODM, those that were espoused and you saw in 2017 up until today. That is where we have a difference.
Bentro Njue, Prime Edition.
Thank you.
Now to matters politics, ODM leader Raila Odinga has pledged to deal with historical injustices that the northeastern region has faced, resulting in derailed development in the arid and semi-arid areas. Speaking when he met northeastern leaders under the UPIA movement and leaders from Kilifi County, Raila called on them to sell the Azimio la Umoja movement to the grassroots, saying his will be an inclusive government seeking a unity of purpose for all Kenyans.
The ODM party leader began his day at the Serena Hotel where he met leaders drawn from the northern Kenya under the UPIA movement led by Treasury Cabinet Secretary Ukur Yatani. Raila urging them to be Azimio la Umoja ambassadors in the north. The leaders who pledged their support for Odinga said since the onset of the handshake, the region has realized significant developments.
Northern Kenya portends the future of this country. It's going to be the next economic frontier of this country. And that's why we want to be partners in exploiting those opportunities for the benefit of the region, but also for the bigger benefit of this country.
We are together. We are all our members who are parliamentary group. We are with you. We are supporting you. I think out of 106, maybe only about 20 who are not with us. But I'm sure ikifika mwezi wa pili wa tatu, now that we have Azimio, which incorporate everybody, I'm sure we will be able to be together with them.
So we know issues of education, issues of infrastructure, issues of livestock, water, health, security are really pertinent issues that we need to deal with in this region. We will do an affirmative action. And in terms of admission of students from this region to teacher training colleges and universities, and have them go back and teach in these areas so that children do not suffer in terms of education.
On her part, Isiolo Senator Fatuma Dulo said the region has been in the political court for many years and they want to ensure that they sit in the decision-making table in the next government.
Na tumefanya utafiti wetu, tukakubaliana ya kwamba huyu ndio atakuwa rais wa 5 wa Jamhuri ya Kenya come 9 August 2022. Ukipanga serikali yako, na sisi tunajua hapo ndo tunaenda, lazima sisi kama upya tuwe hapo ndani, tupange na wewe, tuendelee kwa siasa.
The former Prime Minister will later meet leaders from Kilifi and Turkana counties at Chungwa House, calling on them to support his presidential bid and ensure majority representation of the party in the next government.
Hata kama yuko candidate 10, mwishowe mtu mmoja peke yake anachaguliwa kama MCA kwa ward. Mmoja ndiye atachaguliwa kama mbunge kwa constituency. Na atakuwa ni mama moja, atakuwa ni senator moja na gavana moja. Hii maanisha kwamba wale ambao hawatafaulu si watu wetu. Kwa sababu hata wao sasa hawana kazi. Kazi itakweko. Hata wale ambao hawataweza kuchaguliwa watapata kazi.
The ODM leader also took a swipe at the bottom-up economic model being advanced by Deputy President William Ruto, saying it is not economically viable for the country. Yusuf Far reporting for Prime Edition.
All right, and now on to matters health. It will now be mandatory for every Kenyan above 18 years to contribute towards the national health cover if the NHIF bill becomes law. According to the NHIF chairman, Lewis Ngani, the bill which awaits the president's signature will be fully operational by May this year. This as the government says it will harmonize all medical charges across every hospital under the NHIF cover. Zainab Said reports.
After me, the national health. The national health.
Under the new amendments, the government intends to incorporate more healthcare providers, thus changing the name from National Hospital Insurance Fund to National Health Insurance Fund.
Ukiambiwa sasa hapa MRI ni shilingi 9,000. Alafu NHIF iwe inalipa shilingi 9,000 ama 8 ama 7. Ni kumaanisha ya kwamba yule mtu ambaye atakuja kutibiwa hapa ni lazima awe na shilingi 2,000. Kwa hivyo sisi hatutaki hiyo. Tukiwa kama serikali vile tungetaka ni kama NHIF inalipa 6,000 na hospitali inataka 9,000. Tuseme wacha NHIF ilipe 7,000 na nyinyi mripishe 7,000, mwananchi akija anatibiwa anaenda nyumbani.
Speaking during the launch of Afya Njema program, a multi-sectoral program spearheaded by the National Council of Churches to curb the increase in non-communicable diseases, Health Cabinet Secretary Mutahi Kagwe said the move will also reduce cases of corruption during and after service delivery.
From Honorable Guyai's board and NHIF, they are currently engaged with faith-based and private sector players to reach a consensus about the various charges for the various diseases on various challenges that our people are experiencing.
But it is also not the responsibility of the public to pay, because NCDs are so expensive, nobody can afford it. There is need for insurance companies, and the public insurance is NHIF to push this agenda.
NHIF Chairman Lewis Nguyai said every Kenyan above 18 years and who is yet to join NHIF has a grace period of up to May this year.
You cannot do a business with government if you do not have not only the KRA tax compliance certificate or the NHIF clearance card, and I'm sure very soon it will also be the NSSF clearance services.
For Prime Edition, I'm Zainab Said.
All right, now on to the COVID-19 situation in the country. 762 people have tested positive for COVID-19 in the last 24 hours from a sample size of 7,780. This puts the positivity rate at 9.8%. The total confirmed positive cases now stand at 319,011 out of the over 3.1 million samples screened in the country so far. 16 more people have succumbed to the disease, raising the cumulative fatalities to 5,520. 657 patients have recovered from the disease, with 532 from the home-based isolation and care program, while 125 are from various health facilities countrywide. A total of 11,259,226 vaccines have been administered across the country so far. Out of this, 6,248,784 are partially vaccinated. And of course, just to let you know that 4,878,045 are fully vaccinated, as another 100,433 are booster doses. According to data from the Johns Hopkins University, over 334,541,052 COVID-19 infections have been confirmed globally, with 5,557,255 deaths having been reported so far. All right, let's move this further. Maendeleo ya Wanawake organization has committed to help end gender-based violence and female genital mutilation as part of its resolution in the Vision 2030 arrangement. Speaking during the organization's 70-year anniversary, Maendeleo ya Wanawake organization chairperson Rahab Mwiu said the organization will also invest in water harvesting project for women in all the 47 counties.
Wednesday morning, and the National Maendeleo ya Wanawake Organization, National Executive and Secretariats converged at a hotel in Nairobi to celebrate 70 years since its existence.
Sustainable projects or sustainable activities to see women out of that captivity of dependence syndrome.
We bring everybody from the girl child to the boy child so that the future generation is brought up together.
The organization highlighting its achievements since it was formed in 1952.
The National Water Harvesting Project trains women on financial literacy, digital literacy, and entrepreneurship. We've been able to organize 3 AGMs. 2019 when we did the documents, 2020 being the landmark when His Excellency officiated our pet project, which is the National Water Harvesting Project.
According to Maendeleo ya Wanawake Organization chairperson Rahab Mwiu, the organization will focus more on the eradication of practices such as gender-based violence and female genital mutilation, among others, under the Vision 2030.
We want to see family values come back. We may not fix the problems that are already there, but in our own small way, we can engage the country to say, can we have family values?
Among the projects Maendeleo ya Wanawake has planned for this year is the construction of the second National Maendeleo House GBV Center in Mombasa County.
Right, and this is the moment where we take our first break right here on Prime Edition. Please don't go too far. We are coming back with much more.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Beacon Furnitures Limited. We're local manufacturers of quality office furniture, dealers in quality office equipment like fireproof safes and cabinets. Our automated state-of-the-art factories at Henna House along Enterprise Road in Nairobi's industrial area. Our showroom is at Uniafrica House, Koinange off Koinange Street. We are passionate believers in locally manufactured goods. When you and I buy locally made furniture, we impact on the livelihoods of our brothers and sisters. For orders, visit our showroom at Uniafrica House, Koinange off Koinange Street. Beacon Furnitures Limited. Jenga Kenya, tupate ajira.
In the rearview mirror, if you ain't going my way, then you can get off. Let me turn up and let the music play. How come you not realize that it's out of perfection? You dream of a minute.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now moving on, the commitment by President Uhuru Kenyatta to end female genital mutilation by the end of the year 2022 presented a glimmer of hope for thousands of women and girls in practicing communities who had suffered immeasurable physical and psychological impacts through the brutal cut, thinly veiled as a rite of passage for girls into a woman. With the deadline fast approaching, we look at what has been achieved by stakeholders in Narok County, one of the counties with the highest FGM prevalence rates, the lessons and the pending challenges.
This year, we signed a landmark declaration between the governments of Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Somalia, and Ethiopia to address cross-border FGM practice. And last week, we signed an agreement with religious and cultural elders from Kenya to eliminate FGM by 2022.
That commitment by President Uhuru Kenyatta during the 25th anniversary of the International Conference on Population and Development held in Nairobi in 2019 rekindled the dimming light in efforts to eradicate a decades-long retrogressive cultural practice that has affected the future of thousands of women and girls. Female genital mutilation, a procedure involving a partial or total removal of the external female genitalia, thinly veiled as a cultural requirement for girls to transition into womanhood. Campaigns run countrywide in a bid to end the harmful practice have faced a myriad of challenges since not all actors share in the president's vision. Everyday perpetrators are devising hard-to-detect strategies to advance their interest. Doctors are increasingly being used to administer the cut. Cross-border FGM is becoming a worrying trend, which begs the question, will Kenya beat its own deadline of ending female genital mutilation by the end of the year 2022? The answer to that question lies within the borders of the practicing communities. Narok County is home to about 1.2 million people and is among the counties in Kenya where FGM is routinely practiced. Driving down to Narok North constituency, we meet Tati Sankok, an elderly woman from Murwa village. Tati used to be a traditional circumciser.
Inaweka pombe, inatabuta kama mabati ingine kidogo kama mabati tu. Naenda kufanya ipi. naenda kukata mtoto. Mtoto inalia, inakata tu kama kondoo.
It's a horrifying experience that has stuck in the memory of Emily Masikonde, who was forced to undergo the cut in 2000.
Ilikuwa ni kitu ngumu sana. Kwa sababu unakalishwa, unashikwa na wamama wengine wamekupitia pande hii, wengine nyuma, wengine mbele. Umeshikwa kabisa. Ni kitu ilikuwa ya nguvu kabisa. Ile uchungu tulipitia ilikuwa uchungu kali. Ilikuwa ni kitu ambaye haiwezi semekana.
That single procedure changed the course of her life.
Kwanza mimi nilikuwa very bright. Ningekuwa mahali pengine saa hizi. Lakini kwa sababu ya kupitishwa tohara na kuambiwa amuka umekuwa mama, ningeweza sema hiyo ndio imenifanya nisihitimu kwa masomo yangu.
Emily's experience resonates with that of hundreds of women and girls in this community. Many have opted to suffer in silence in fear of being branded social misfits, while others like Lady Kantai Mengati, a woman leader in the Maasai community, have chosen to turn their pain into purpose.
Mimi nilikuwa nimeshapitia hiyo kukeketwa nikiwa mdogo, nikapitia uchungu mingi sana, hiyo mwito ikatoka kwa roho yangu, nikapata mafunzo kupitia World Vision, wakanifunza nami nikawa mmoja ya wale wanajitokeza kupingana na hiyo kazi ya ukeketaji.
We have done a lot of sensitization in Narok South area, and last year, at the beginning of last year, we were able to arrest 12 perpetrators, the circumcisers, and they're languishing in jail. That has really helped us to bring down this vice.
The efforts, though snail-paced, continue to bear fruit. Through increased awareness, traditional circumcisers like Sankok have decided to put the blade aside and find alternative ways of earning a living, with men also playing an active role in the fight against FGM, which initially was considered a woman's issue. Amid the optimism, however, stakeholders share mixed opinions over the practicability of the country's quest to beat the 2022 deadline to end FGM.
Is the 2022 deadline achievable? Yes, for us we have achieved our deadline, which was to last year, 2021. So what we are going to do this year is just surveillance.
I don't think it is fair to put a date and say 2022 or 2027 or something. What I know is that eradication of FGM has started. It is a very similar thing to a disease. Once you start giving the treatment, it starts working sometime and ends sometime.
Although the Kenya Demographic and Health Survey shows that there has been a steady decline in FGM prevalence from a high of 37.6% in 1998 to 21% in 2014, anti-FGM crusaders are calling for an immediate change of strategy to attain the zero mark. All right, moving away from that, across the county is a 16-year-old boy who was beaten to death over alleged destruction of property belonging to a local administrator in Iringa location, Gucha South sub-county in Kisii County, has been buried. The boy is said to be part of a group of children rounded up and beaten by the suspects in December last year. The suspects have already been arrested. More of this in our county news roundup.
Emotions ran high as the 16-year-old boy was finally buried in Gucha area of Kisii County. Daniel Muriga, an area resident, said that the boy was among a group of children who were rounded up and beaten by the suspects in December last year on suspicion of destruction of property belonging to a local administrator in Iringa location.
Ni mtoto mkarimu, alikuwa anafanya kazi kwa bidii na anajitafutia. Makosa hii yenye walimfanyia, haki hii yetu tunalia.
Area Sub-County Police Commander Samson Lukunga said 9 suspects had already been arrested.
Some of them being bodaboda riders, other about 3 elders, and one national government administrative officer.
Elsewhere, Abubakar Amana, who has been sought by police for allegedly making inflammatory remarks in Lamu last December, surrendered himself to the regional headquarters in Mombasa. The Director of Public Prosecution, Nurdin Haji, had written to the Inspector General of Police, Hilary Mutyambai, to institute investigations over a clip that went viral on social media platforms showing Amana making the remarks.
If he is able to exonerate himself from the allegations, fine. If otherwise, that offense has been disclosed from the investigations on what will be on record, then no action will be taken as it comes.
This coming as residents of Bomet East, Bomet Central and parts of Chepalungu are set to benefit from a 2 billion shillings water project through the partnership of Africa Development Bank and the national government.
The project will take a maximum of 18 months. So 18 months, that is 1.5 years. Na tutakuwa tukikunywa maji. Umoja wetu ni nguvu wetu.
Meanwhile, youths from Kajiado County are calling on investors to stop fueling politics of animosity ahead of the August general elections. The youth say that there is an emerging trend of mega companies in the county focusing on dividing residents on political grounds.
Tunataka kuongelesha vijana wasiingie katika siasa kama hizo, wasipatikane mahali ambapo pesa ya wananchi inamwagwa ama pesa ya makampuni yanamwagwa ili kuinfluence siasa.
Finally, 3 social groups based in Nairobi, Kiambu and Kajiado counties have emerged as the winners of the LG Electronics Ambassador Challenge that seeks to promote the growth and self-reliance of local communities.
We remain committed to executing social contribution activities that deliver a sustainable growth to local communities as we empower everyone to live the better life that they deserve.
Nancy Okwari, Prime Edition.
All right, remember we are streaming live on Facebook at KBC Channel 1 and on YouTube as well. Please join us also on those platforms. In a bit, Cynthia Nyamai will be bringing you the latest in the world of business. Then later, Karen Kibet will be up with the latest in the world of sports. But first, tonight in our weekly cinemas and theatre, our reporter Jacqueline Masharia reviews the film Medicine Man. Take a look.
Medicine Man is a film about a lone doctor overcoming the odds to redeem the community he so loves that is deeply shackled by witchcraft and enslaved by the power of warlock. Dr. Ben Moreithi, a general practitioner interested in herbal medicine, comes back to his rural home to set up his research facility. On his first night after setting up a base, he's invited for supper by Beth, Gikovi's wife. As they indulge, Ellie, who is Gikovi's 14-year-old son, chokes. Moreithi goes to perform first aid on him. Gikovi pulls rank and instead takes him to his chamber to cast healing spells. Meanwhile, Moreithi's home rebuilding project is on track as he often updates his city-based fiancée, Empress.
Did you manage to set my awning window?
But begins to spend time with the local dispensary nurse, Weruma, a single mother of 2. Here a romance brews. Moreithi soon has to make some tough decisions on whether or not to continue treating Ellie and to also choose between Empress and Weruma. Directed by Simiu Barasa and produced by Betty Katungu, Medicine Man is a high-paced drama set in the Embu village of Ugweri that explores the relationship between modern medicine, herbal medicine, and African science, also known as witchcraft.
When we were sure that we have what we could call the shooting script, we decided we were going to go for people, actors from Embu. We decided to hold auditions. We said we are going to cast not based on what we know as huyu anaweza perform hii role, no, we called for an open audition in Embu. Most of the actors that we got are not known in the national limelight at all.
The story is bound to start conversations around herbal medicine. Is the use of herbal medicine witchcraft or alternative or supplementary to modern medicine?
On one of my visits when I went there, I was told of a very interesting and nearly unbelievable tale about how some young men went and stole from a well-known witch doctor in the village, and the witch doctor threatened them and said, if you do not return my stuff by this and this day, all of you are going to die, and you'll die by hanging yourselves under this tree. So that whole scenario is the one that made me to think about making a movie.
Medicine Man is purely in the Embu language with very little English and Kiswahili. The beauty and simplicity of the Embu culture is captured in story and visuals, offering an experience that will be in our minds and hearts for years to come.
We cannot speak English as good as the white people, however much we try. It's their mother tongue. We speak our own mother tongue. And it's beautiful, you know, all our languages are beautiful. Kiswahili, Kiembu, Kikuyu, Kijaluo, languages from South Africa, they're beautiful, they sound natural, more natural. And it's time that we took our films, our stories in their raw authentic to the world as is.
It is a narrative of two men who, by virtue of having a grandfather who was into traditional herbal medicine, seeks to use the best way they each know science versus spirituality to treat early. Produced with the support of Kenya Film Commission's 2020 Film Empowerment Program, the high-paced drama will have you intrigued by family rivalry till the very end. Jacqueline Masharia for Cinema and Theatre.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hii ya Bariki mpiga simu, bonyeza *811 963#.
Baraka zinapowaendea watu, Mungu ninakuomba umbariki huyu ambaye anapiga simu, umbariki na hata umuinue, umfungulie njia yake, aende ainuliwe na kuwe mtu ambaye ni wa kuinuliwa. Ninapoenda kuipokea, Mungu fika mbele yake.
Ili kupata sikiza tune hiyo ya Bariki mpiga simu, bonyeza *811 963#, *811 963#.
Jastrzębski, and there was Jovetic to score. Oh, Kevin Behrens. Belfodil, and he is there. Elney's chance taken. There's Richter. Kevin Behrens again. Hertha or through. Union Berlin do have a place in this season's last 16.
Welcome back. It's time for business. I am Cynthia Nyamai. Now, Kenya registered a 53.3% increase in international tourist arrivals in 2021 to 870,465, who earned the country 146 billion shillings compared to 88 billion shillings earned in 2020. Tourism and Wildlife Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala hopes the easing of travel restrictions in most countries, as well as new tourist source markets such as Mexico, Israel and Iran, would help net Kenya 1 million international tourist arrivals this year.
Of the 870,465 international arrivals, 299,802 were on holiday, representing 34% of the total arrivals, while 257,357 traveled to visit family or friends. Another 229,804 visitors jetted in for business and meetings, incentives, exhibitions and conferences, with the niche taking up 26.4% of the arrivals. The 2021 figures are still way below when compared to the country's all-time high record in 2019 of 2,048,834 international arrivals. Jomo Kenyatta International Airport remained the major point of entry for tourists with 644,194 landings, while Moi International Airport in Mombasa had 48,749 arrivals. The United States remains Kenya's key tourist source market at 136,981, followed by Uganda, Tanzania, the UK that dropped to 4th, and India was 5th.
Africa, Uganda has become number 1, and we know why, because of business, it's not necessarily because of tourism. Tanzania also is because of business, not necessarily on tourism. Somalia is purely visiting, because this is our second country, their second country. Again, Nigeria is interesting here, is because we have a bit of tourism, but now we have increased trade between Kenya and Nigeria.
Visitors from Africa toured Kenya for business, while the rest juggled between leisure and family. In 2021, the tourism industry lost 1.2 million full-time equivalent jobs and 152 billion shillings worth of labor.
So our 2021 in terms of airline passenger flight landing is 70,000 flights we are targeting. In terms of visitor arrivals, I want to believe we are going to surpass over 1 million from 870,000 arrivals that we had.
Kenya hopes easing of travel restrictions, COVID-19 vaccines, as well as new tourist source markets such as Mexico, Australia, Switzerland, the Middle East and Europe would help Kenya net 1 million international tourist arrivals this year. Regina Manyara reporting for Prime Edition.
9 Kenya Power officials have been arraigned in court over last week's electricity blackout that affected most parts of the country. Prosecutors told the court that the 9 Kenya Power officials were suspected of failing to take action to prevent or correct vandalism on high-voltage power line, leading to the power outage. Even though prosecutors sought to detain the 9 for 21 days, the accused have been detained for 8 days for investigators probing the issue.
9 senior Kenya Power officials will spend the next 8 days in custody as authorities investigate last week's power blackouts. Prosecutors told the court that the 9 were suspected of failing to take action to prevent or correct vandalism on the high-voltage Kiambere-Embakasi transmission line, leading to the collapse of the 4 towers, which caused the power outage. Even though the prosecutors requested the courts to grant investigators authority to hold the suspect for 21 days as they continue investigations, the court granted police 8 days.
I'm inclined to allow a detention, but not for 21 days, 8 days. Yes, 8 days. That should be sufficient for the IO or the investigating agency to conclude investigations.
There will be a mention on Wednesday to confirm those who will be charged, they'll be charged on Wednesday. Those who will not be charged, this file will be closed and they'll be told we have no evidence against you. So Wednesday is the D-Day to know whether our plans are going to take plea or our plans have been exonerated by the DCI, because they have been given 8 days to continue doing the investigation.
The court had that despite officers manning the Nairobi Expressway alerting the Kenya Power officials of an ongoing vandalism of one of the power line's towers, no action was taken, with the vandalism extending to other towers, culminating to the collapse of the 4 towers that caused a nationwide blackout.
Members of the public, good members of the public, reported alongside AP officers who are protecting the said KBC facility, reported to this respondents, Your Honor, that there was some vandalism that had occurred and it needed to be corrected. Your Honor, these officers, due to sabotage, negligence, maybe commission of a terrorist act, decided to neglect not go and look at what the members of the public have to say.
The investigating team said it will procure services of an independent engineering company to give insight of how the towers might have collapsed to aid in prosecution of the 9 officials. Benson Rioba reporting for Prime Edition.
Financial institutions should be more transparent in designing and disbursement of funds to small businesses. Micro and Small Enterprise Authority Chairperson James Mureo says apart from reducing allocation of funding to small businesses, some lenders who receive concessional loans for onward lending to SMEs charge very high interest rates.
Creates about 90% of new jobs in Kenya. However, investments into the sector has been on a decline, with several small businesses closing shop owing to challenges in accessing capital.
As a sector, we are saying that we will no longer be that group of people that are looked down upon, yet we are carrying the responsibility of this country on our shoulders. So we are asking those people who are in authority, be it the ministry that supports us, that we are under, or the county governments, that time has come for us to speak with one voice.
The very important national meeting, because the word MSMEs has become fashionable, and people are now creating and raising funds on behalf of the MSC sector. Then that money is disappearing in between, because it cannot be placed the hand where it is. That is why from today we are saying, if you are giving money to the MSC sector, let it be measurable, let it be seen, let the authority be aware, let the sector itself be able to know where the money has gone.
At a stakeholder engagement meeting about a common working strategy, chairpersons of the hawkers, markets, Juakali and Boda Borders called for the fast-tracking of pending laws related to small businesses and operationalization of tools such as the MSME fund.
We need to activate that fund to be able to send support down to the lowest person in this sector. As you know, when COVID struck this country, the hardest hit people were in that space, the bottom of the pyramid.
Being an election year, some financiers are already into the wait-and-see attitude. However, small businesses say they're resilient enough to weather any kind of political storm this season.
If IBC, and I'm going to be asking Bwana Chebukati to consider polling stations. There are enough people in those workstations that don't have to go very far. You go and vote and continue with your work, because as we build the nation 24/7, 365 days.
Alan Auko, Prime Edition.
The government has signed a deal with a developer to put up 4,900 units under the Affordable Housing Agenda in Dandora, Nairobi County. Housing Principal Secretary Charles Hinga says the project, which is one of its kind in Kenya, targets middle-income households keen on easy access to railway stations.
The proposed housing project will be developed around the Dandora railway station, which is among the 10 largest railway stations in the country. Housing Principal Secretary Charles Hinga says the first phase of the 18 billion shilling project is set to break ground by March this year for construction of 1,200 housing units. The project promises easy access to railway commuter services.
This property touches the Dandora station, and so you can get out of your home, hop onto a train, go do your business, go to work, catch a train, come back home.
Hinga says demand for housing in Kenya is increasing and his ministry is working on addressing it.
Every Kenyan can be a homeowner because the mortgages are cheap and we are giving you flexible payment terms. And so I believe that the number of people that are going to take up these houses will actually push the developer to finish them much quicker.
Developers of the project say the units have already been designed with the occupants' needs in mind, providing essential services and other amenities.
We have focused our design for affordable housing such that each Kenyan can be able to live, work and play within the confines of the city.
We think we can complete the work as early as possible, and after that we give a very good project for our client.
The units would be sold at a price of 50,000 shillings per square meter. Reporting for Prime Edition, my name is Ibak Said.
Government is employing the e-voucher system to subsidize the cost of high-quality potato seeds to meet demand from global fast food restaurants operating in Kenya. Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Peter Munya says the government would subsidize the seeds by 70%, with the farmer paying 20%, while the rest of the cost of the high-quality potato seeds would be borne by partners in the project. As Juni Karisa narrates, the counties of Nyandarua, Marakwet and Meru have been picked to pilot the project.
Kentucky Fried Chicken KFC, which has been grappling with challenges in sourcing potatoes from Egypt, in conjunction with the county government of Nyandarua, Marakwet and Meru, have started the process of selecting farmers who will be contracted to grow the potatoes for the fast food chain.
Most of those varieties are actually for chips. Now we are giving those seeds private players who grow seeds. We link them with the farmers, and through the e-voucher we will be paying those private players who are dealing with this potato seed. We pay them 70%, the farmer pays 20%, the farmer accesses the seed and the input. And then the farmer is supported at the county level now to grow them. Then you'll be able to deal with that issue of KFC, but deal with the bigger issue of improving production of potatoes in the country and supporting the farming of potatoes.
Through the support from the International Fund for Agriculture, IFAD, the government plans to heavily subsidize the cost of acquiring certified seeds for the high-quality potatoes.
Nyandarua, I think they have been working with the development partner to support them with seed multiplication and new varieties and storage and all that. You know, we are also been putting up processing and storage facilities in Kisii, in Meru, in Nyandarua.
Munya says the project will be expanded to more potato growing counties such as Nakuru and Narok after the pilot phase.
County governments are also on board. In fact, the recruitment of the farmers and others, the counties that are undertaking.
The future of this agriculture sector, for it to serve, we have to do, and we have to have standards that are international in nature.
Kiambu Governor James Nyoro challenged county governments to increase their budgetary allocations to agriculture to at least 10% to help boost food security.
Kuna counties wameweka 12% na 15% na tumeona mazao. Kwa hivyo sisi tukiwa Council of Governors tumekubaliana na tutaangaliana vile tutaweka. Na also tujue unaweka wapi, kwa sababu unaweza kuweka area ambao haisaidii.
We have a role to facilitate the intergovernmental sector forums, to meet regularly, to bring the two levels of governments together to discuss policy decisions and agree how they will be implemented.
Juni Karisambele from Mombasa County.
Well, that story marks the end of business for today, but up next, sports with Karen Kibet.
And there was Jovetic to score. Oh, Kevin Behrens. Belfodil. And he is there. And his chance taken. There's Richter. Kevin Behrens again. Hertha or throw. Union Berlin do have a place in this season's last 16.
Welcome back. A very good evening to you. I do hope you're holding up well. Let's now take a look at all the sports stories making headlines tonight. My name is Karen Kibet. Now, the Sekafa champions Vihiga Queens are among nominees who will fight for the Women's Sports Team of the Year 2021 award during the Soya Awards Gala set for Buhungu Stadium in Kakamega on 25th of January. The others are Malkia Strikers, the beach volleyball team, Kenya Lionesses, and the national women's basketball team.
Vihiga Queens are among 5 women teams competing for the Women Team of the Year award during the Soya Awards Gala set for January 25th in Kakamega County. Vihiga Queens had a season to remember after they were crowned the Sekafa champions. The Queens then qualified for the first time ever in the CAF Champions League in Egypt, where they bowed out honorably against big teams, among them River Angels of Nigeria and Malabo Queens from Equatorial Guinea. Also in the nominations is National Women Volleyball Team Malkia Strikers, who were the only African team at the 2020 Olympics in Japan, although they did not win a single match. The women beach volleyball side is also in the nomination list after making history by qualifying for the Summer Games for the first time ever. Also in the roster is National Women Rugby side Kenya Lionesses, who won the Safari 7th round robin tournament after finishing unbeaten thanks to wins over Uganda, Zimbabwe, Titans Academy of South Africa and Kenya Lionesses second string. The National Women Basketball Team, which is ranked 9th in Africa and 71st in the world, is also deservedly in the nominations.
Thank you, Buckley, for that report. Moving on, Kenya Motorsport Federation, KMSF, is working round the clock to ensure it delivers another world-class WRC Safari Rally slated for 23rd to 26th of June this year in Naivasha. Now, according to the KMSF chairman, who doubles to be the WRC Safari Rally CEO, Finas Kimathi, more Kenyan drivers will be given a chance to participate in this year's edition.
Kenya Motorsports Federation Chairman Finas Kimathi, who is also a retired rally driver, hailed FIA for retaining Safari Rally in the WRC calendar until 2026, as this will give more Kenyan drivers an opportunity to compete with the best rally drivers in the world. He insisted that the federation will continue enhancing its greening legacy program during this year's Safari Rally, targeting to plant 18 million trees.
We were the most followed WRC. We scored very highly, so we just have to maintain that standard. We have a few things to improve on, obviously, like traffic management and crowd control. So those are the areas that we'll be working on.
Among the local drivers expected to participate in this year's WRC Safari Rally are the Africa and national champion Carl Flash Tundo, alongside his long-time navigator Tim Jessop. The duo are set to retire from the wheels after 22 years in the Rally Championship. Makre Kimathi is among the budding Kenyan drivers who will give a second shot at this year's Safari Rally.
We'll try and defend my title, of course. That's my main aim, and try and win my national championship here in Kenya. So we have really a busy year this year, so that's something I'm actually really looking forward to.
Kenya will play host to the 6th leg of the WRC in June, with the first leg set for Monte Carlo between 20th and 23rd of this month, followed by Sweden, Croatia, Portugal and Italy series in February, April, May and June respectively. Frederick Moki for Prime Edition.
Moki for that report. Sports Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed says resolutions made during the Agnes Tirop conference will be implemented immediately, and a meeting will be convened after 100 days to check on the progress of the implementation. Her sentiments come after 3 days of intense discussion by the sports players during the Agnes Tirop conference in Diani, Kwale County.
In their quest to make the sports sector free from GBV and mental health problems immensely witnessed over the years by the sportsmen and women, the Ministry of Sports and stakeholders have undertaken the steps to rectify the vices by coming up with a declaration that will provide a safe haven for the athletes.
Each federation will establish mechanisms that ensure fair selection of athletes, coaches and other technical staff on all their teams. All federations will ensure they prioritize the mental health of athletes by undertaking periodic training and assessment of all the athletes in their respective federation.
Attaining gender equity in sports is a precondition for leveling the playing field and advancing inclusivity in the sports industry.
Sports Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed noted that in 100 days, they will converge again to check on the progress of implementation of the resolutions made during the Agnes Europe conference.
We've agreed that we are all going to meet again in 100 days' time. And that at that time, we will take stock of where we are, of how many of the recommendations that Catherine and her colleagues gave us have been implemented or are being implemented.
Speaking on the sidelines, Cricket Kenya Normalization Committee, headed by retired Judge Lady Justice Joyce Olwoch, announced that Cricket Kenya elections will be held on the 26th of February this year at the Moi International Stadium in Kasarani.
Notice of election for office bearers is hereby issued. The elections will be held on Saturday, the 26th of February 2022 at Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, from 9 a.m.
She promised a free and fair elections while noting that those who were already at the helm should sit out the upcoming elections.
Our provision on transmission is that those who had held office before in cricket are not eligible to vie for another 4 years.
For sports news from Diani, Kwale County, I am Ann Mburu.
Thank you, Anne, for that report. And Anne's report brings us to the end of the sports news tonight. I will see you tomorrow with more sports news. Do have yourself a peaceful night. My name is Karen Kibet, but I hand you back to Serfine for more.
Thank you so much, Karen Kibet, for that reporting on the world of sports. Of course, for me, it's just to wrap it up. When you see DJ Stano on the other side of the studio already getting ready to make your Wednesday worth the while, you know that you do not need to move anywhere. Stay right onto your screens. The rave is coming up next. But from us, the team on Prime Edition, it's good night and God bless.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
It's obvious someone must be distracting you.
Mbona kuna mtoto hivi? Mimi siwezi kukaa hapa nje na mtoto wangu amefunga huko ndani peke yake.
Siwezi kukuingia wewe. Unifai.
Sasa mwaniangalieni.
Pete gani? Ina thamani. Ni ya ukoo.
And there was your Mutilation score. Oh, Kevin Behrens. Belfodil. And he is there. Elney's chance taken. There's Richter. Kevin Behrens again. Hertha are through. Union Berlin do have a place in this season's last 16.
listen now